what was the point of that whole separation if it's all just illusion?
It was simply the love of individuality. And by the way, there's a caveat here because we're saying that this happened as if it actually happened. And events in a dream, as we said, do appear to happen. But if you want to get to the solution, the solution to all that is to understand that it never happened, which leads to the kind of forgiveness that undoes it. For example, A Course in Miracles would say, forgiveness does not pardon sins and make them real. It sees there was no sin. And in that view are all your sins forgiven. I might add that only in that view are all your sins forgiven because of what we said earlier. You know, as you see him, you will see yourself. The reason that's true is because there is only one ego appearing as many. And
Right.
to forgive another, if you're coming from that area of cause instead of effect, when you forgive another, it's actually you who is being forgiven. When it came to speaking in public, it turned out that for me was another forgiveness lesson because I was scared to death to get out there and speak to people. And my teachers came back at the end of 2003 because I had only made maybe 5 or 6 appearances, mainly in my local area.
Right.
And I decided that was it. I'm not going to do it anymore. And you
Right.
see with the second book that my teachers come back and they say, well, you know, if that is upsetting you, even making you uncomfortable, the idea of getting up and speaking in front of people, that's a forgiveness lesson. That's a forgiveness opportunity because anything that makes you uncomfortable is screaming to be forgiven because that's the perfect opportunity.
I guess I'm still not understanding what you're meaning by forgiven. So you, let's say, had a fear of public speaking.
Exactly. But that's what I thought I was afraid of. What I was
Okay.
really upset about is this original separation from God that is unconscious and which people are not in touch with. And what you can do, like if you know, there are plenty of people who aren't excited about the idea of getting up and speaking in front of people. What you can do in that kind of a situation is you can learn how to forgive it. You can learn to understand, look, that audience isn't out there being done to me. They're not the real people who are judging me. What's happening is that they're a projection that is coming from me. Now, the more you look at things that way, the less possible it becomes for you to react to it, you know, in a certain way. Like if you were in a movie theater, for example, and somebody up on the screen started yelling at you and insulting you, you wouldn't take it very seriously.
Right.
You know, and that's what this movie can be like. You know, you could have somebody start yelling at you and insulting you, and you can just kind of like go, you know, kind of like, you know, chuckle at them because you understand that what you're seeing not only isn't true, but that you're the one who did it.
But you might want to question why did I create that?
Well, that's a linear experience. Most people into spirituality nowadays, they actually think that they're making it up as they go along.
And that's not true.
It's not true. I'm not saying that's not their legitimate experience.
Right.
But the problem is it's a linear experience, which is not true, and it's the holographic reality, even in the illusion. You know, I hate to use the word reality to describe illusions,
okay.
but the truth is that it's holographic. It's not linear. Forgiveness recognizes that you're the one who did it, that it wasn't done to you, as you were led to believe from the moment that you were born,
Right.
and that you did ask to come here. And the reason that you wanted to come here was because on that massive metaphysical level, you had the denial and projection in order to escape from this terrible feeling. So now, when I appear to be born as this, you know, helpless little victim, you know, the perfect little victim that's at the effect of the world, and it was done to me, and I was actually made by other bodies, and that I buy into that whole story. The reason for that is so that the guilt now is not in me, it's in you. That's how the ego attempted to get rid of it, or at least make us think that we were getting rid of it. That now, oh, it's not my fault. It's your fault. And then if you look at the news and what goes on in the world every day, it's very clear to see that it's not too difficult for people to find somebody else who is the cause of their problems. Somebody else outside of them who did it to them.
And that's the nature of illusion and separation.
That's the nature of the ego. In fact, that's the purpose of illusions. You asked why you know, this happened. The reason it appeared to happen was simply because now I escaped from that guilt by seeing it in others. The only problem is it doesn't really get rid of it. It just keeps it intact. It keeps it recycling in the unconscious mind until you undo it.
It keeps passing the buck around. Oh, it's not you. It's not. It's
Yep, and it keeps the reincarnation cycle appearing to go. It keeps the victimization cycle going. Like you know, one time around you're the victim. Next time around you get to be the victimizer. You get blown up in this life.
Right.
In the next life you blow somebody else up.
It keeps separation or the illusion of separation happening because there must be a reason that is perpetuated.
What's really perpetuated is all effect. We want to think that it's cause and effect out there in the world, but the cause is always the projector and the film that you're seeing.